Hello everybody, I'm the professor. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this truck. It is a original 1953 Chevy pickup truck. It's all original, all factory, but it needs some help. This thing's been setting up for a long time. I'm fixing to blow this whole entire truck apart and we're going to make some changes. It's got the original motor in it. I've got an LS motor and new transmission. I got a Mustang GT 350 rear end I'm gonna put in it. There's gonna be a bunch of body mods, a bunch of things I'm gonna do. Delete the bumpers. I'm gonna use one of these grill bars to fill in the bottom underneath the fenders. I'm gonna shave all of this, get rid of all this, weld these holes up, get rid of the lights up here, weld the cowl up. I got a new set of doors. I got another set of running boards. All that stuff's going to get changed out. I got cab corners for it. I'm going to port the exhaust through the running boards on it. I'm probably going to recess the taillights into the rear fenders. It's going to be a cool truck whenever this thing is done. Well, we're going to take a look at this. As you can see, this thing's just as ugly underneath it as it is on top. We're gonna get rid of the ugly. Come through here and box in these frame rails. I'm gonna run all of the wiring, the hydraulic lines for the brakes, the fuel lines, everything will be run inside the chassis. New cross members. I got floor pans to put in. They're all eaten out. I got these cab corners I gotta do. But basically the truck's in pretty good shape considering it's 70 years old. I know 70-year-old men that ain't in as good a shape as this truck is. So it's even got the original factory cedar wood in the floor of it. We're gonna do away with all that. It's gonna have black walnut floor in the truck, in the bed, and this thing's gonna be gorgeous. It's a turd right now, but it's gonna be gorgeous. I want you guys to follow along with this build. Well, hello everybody, welcome back. This is the beginning of week 2. Focus this week is going to be getting the chassis completely stripped down to all of the brackets that aren't going to be used, everything off of it, so this can go to sandblasting and the actual fabrication on the chassis can begin. Well, hello everybody, you're back here with the professor again. I've actually got this whole entire side of the frame rail completely welded up. All of the holes that were in it, I've still got that side to do. But so far so good. I'm getting more comfortable with it. I'm thinking by the time I get done with all of this and I actually start boxing in the frame and welding up cross members, I might actually know how to tick. So this is a good thing. It's new for me. I hope you guys enjoy what we're doing. All right, one of the problems that you run into whenever you build one of these vehicles with a bunch of different components like this, things don't fit the way that they did from the factory. So one of the last things that you buy are wheels and tires. You need to know exactly where the brake rotors are going to sit in relationship to the rest of the wheel well openings, all the stuff. You got to measure for back spacing, a number of different things. Building these mock-up wheels out of this plywood, it's going to allow me to set the chassis up exactly like it would be when the truck is completed. I can move the chassis around. Also can measure my back spacing once the body gets reattached to the chassis by measuring from the plywood to the inside of the fender well opening. Solves a lot of problems. It's an easy thing to do, and once the chassis is together, I can move the thing around and it's not a problem at all. this will go in here. Actually, I've got it on backwards, which would not work well. This will go on here. This is, as you can see by this tab here, this is a Heights front suspension system. It's good quality components. So not cutting any corners there. But this will need to go in the frame. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to run. I don't think I'm going to be able to run the front brake lines through this. I finally got my front crossmember assembly fabbed up. These were all separate pieces. All the stuff had to be pieced together, welded up. All of this put together and welded up so that I can get my suspension system on, which, as you see, this is the initial part of doing just that. If you come over here, you'll see that my initial assembly for my front suspension system is on. Now, I've only welded all of the crossmember section up. I have not actually welded this section to the frame. It's only tack welded in so that this can be removed if need be. I've got to be able to get my mock-up wheel on this, get the thing on the ground, and set the engine in the hole, get the motor mounts done for that, so that there's enough weight on that that I can actually measure my ride height up front. Once that's done, if this is in fact in the right position, then I can go ahead and move forward pretty easily. If it's not in the right position, if I need to raise it or lower it by an inch or so, then I'll have to come back through and alter this slightly, but that's not that big of a deal once this assembly is done. To let you know how I plan on securing this fuel line inside the frame rail, here's a piece of the fuel line. I've taken some small pieces of rubber hose and split them so that this will go over the fuel line, and then these tabs all have holes in them. I'll actually weld through that hole, weld these tabs to the frame, and then I'll take this metal tab and bend it around this rubber so that it'll hold it secure to the frame, but this won't be touching anything other than just the rubber. So quick, easy, handy little fix. Can't use the T-clips because I don't want screws sticking out of the frame rail. So this is a good way to keep everything clean, keep it inside the frame rail, and not have to worry about any issues at all. once this is all capped off, you won't be able to see anything but just the fittings where the brakes go. And the flexible line for the brake caliper will come out of here and go directly to the brakes. So, making some progress, getting some stuff done. Made a few mistakes, like this. I cut these pieces out because I thought I needed room for the sway bar on the rear end. Kind of find out I didn't. So I went and dug in my trash can and dug all my pieces out of the scrap pile and put them back in and weld them back up. We are in the process of boxing in the frame like I talked about originally at the beginning of this series. What I had mentioned before is that I would be running all my brake lines and my fuel lines inside the frame before the frame was boxed in. Well, in the event that there's ever any need to replace these fittings, there needs to be some kind of access. Well, came up with an idea no one's ever seen before, and it was kind of a collaborative effort with my nephew and a friend of mine. This is the solution. I have made panels that are removable at each one of these fitting junctions so that they can be looked at, inspected, replaced if need be, but the frame's still all completely boxed in. As you can see here, you can get to these fittings, you can unscrew them, you can replace them. It's peace of mind for whoever winds up owning the truck. To show you the back side of this and what we've done to come up with the cure for the issue, this is the piece that will go right here. It's made for these two fittings. As you can see, you got access here as well. Now keep this in mind. A couple of things here. One, this is all high quality weld-through primer. I've coated the entire inside of the frame. Each one of these panels get coated on the back side before they're put on so that I'm not creating a rust trap a few years down the road. Now this piece here, I have made, you see there's a gap right here? I've had to stand this piece off. All of the stuff is handcrafted, handmade. Well, this gap here, when the vehicle is ready to go to primer, there's a product called seam sealer that actually is basically automotive caulk. This whole entire gap will be completely caulked with that, so it'll have a nice clean radius in there. And then, this is what goes in it. I've handmade a gasket that fits in this hole. This is a piece of Lexan polycarbonate. Still got the protective film on it because you don't want to remove that while you're cutting and grinding and sanding on it. But this goes in these holes and it becomes flush with the outside surface. In all my years of being around hot rods and building hot rods, I've never seen anything like this, and neither is anyone else in my little group of friends that are all hot rod guys. So this is a never seen before as far as I know, and it's a lot of extra work, but it's also a really trick innovation for what it is that I'm doing. So now we don't ever have to worry about there being any kind of failures with any of these fittings at all, because now we have access to them. So the next time we talk, you'll see some sheet metal work being done, see some cool stuff being done, and by the way, go build something cool.